Good morning students. Today we will be studying about lymphatic system in detail. Previous video I had already told you what lymph is. Lymphatic capillaries, lymphatic vessel and the lymph nodes together form the lymphatic system. First, moving on to what is this lymphatic capillaries. These are thin walls forming a network in every organ except nervous system. So lymphatic capillaries, they are very thin, one cell thick, and also they form a network or their branches are found everywhere, every organ except the nervous system. Lymphatic vessels. Now all the lymphatic capillaries unite to form the lymphatic vessels. Lymph nodes or the lymph gland. They are situated in the course of lymph vessels. They occur in groups, oval or kidney shaped. Inside these lymph glands or lymph nodes, you have your WBC that are present. They are rich in phagocytes and lymphocytes. Phagocytes and lymphocytes are type of WBC and they act as filter for microorganism. Now look at this diagram. Now this is the arteries and now the arteries are narrowing down and finally it forms capillaries and these capillaries are surrounding the cells and finally these capillaries unite to form the veins. Now as the blood is entering the arteries with lot of pressure and slowly we know that artery is narrowing down. So certain substances as it is passing through this arteries, it leaks into the extracellular space. It means it leaks into the space between the cell. Now the substances that leaks from this arterioles are useful substances. Okay, they have some amount of proteins, they have WBCs in them. So all these substances are very essential and has to be put back into circulation. Now we cannot just let these useful substances be present in between the cell. They have to be absorbed and put back into circulation. So surrounding these cells are lymph capillaries. The fluid has leaked in now. Okay, because of the pressure we see as the arteries are narrowing down, the fluid is leaked in, and where is it present? In between the cell, and surrounding these cells are the lymph capillaries. They absorb this useful fluid and this lymph capillary join together to form the lymph vessel. This is my lymph vessel. Now through the course of this lymph vessel, we see the presence of oval or kidney shaped structures known as lymph nodes, in which you have the WBCs present and they ingest the foreign organism. And finally, this lymph vessel are connected to the vein and the substances are put back into circulation. This is with respect to your lymphatic system. Moving on to functions of lymph. Lymph carries digested and absorbed fat from intestine and drains excess fluid from extracellular space back into the blood. Now we know that the villi is surrounded by blood vessels, and as the food, once a completely digested food is absorbed by this villi, not each and every nutrient is absorbed and assimilated. Few of it leaks into the space between the cell. Okay, and this is absorbed by the lymph capillaries, and in turn the lymph capillaries join to form the lymph vessel, and finally they are connected to the vein and the useful substances are put back into circulation. It protects the body by killing the germs and draining it out of the body tissue with the help of lymphocytes contained in the lymph nodes. And I told you lymph nodes has got the presence of WBC, and lymphocyte is a type of a WBC which ingests or kills the foreign organism. This is the function of lymph. Next we will move on to transportation in plants. Xylem helps in the transportation of water and minerals from the roots. Phloem brings about the transportation of food that is prepared in the leaf. And xylem and phloem together is known as a conducting tissue because it is bringing about the conduction or transport of water, minerals as well as food prepared in the leaves. It is a tissue comprising of xylem and phloem. Now, xylem, it is made up of 4 elements: vessels, tracheae, xylem fibers and xylem parenchyma. Mechanism of transport of water and minerals in a plant. The vessels and tracheates of root, stem and leaves in xylem tissue are interconnected to form a continuous system of water conducting channels reaching all parts of the plant. Now, these elements, vessel and tracheate, they lie one above the other forming a continuous system. Okay, the vessels are cylindrical in shape, so they are connected one on top of the other to form a continuous channel. Now the tracheates are elongated or they are spindle shape. There are many tracheates lying one above the other to form a continuous channel, and these channels reach all parts of the plant. Now the cells of the roots are in contact with the soil. We know the roots are in contact with the soil and they take up actively the ions calcium, magnesium, potassium. These are ions and they are actively absorbed. When I say actively absorbed, it means it utilizes the energy. So what happens as they are actively absorbed, the concentration of these ions or the solute increases inside the root hair. So once the concentration of the solute increases inside, immediately the water molecules rushes up inside the root hair. Okay, inside the root hair, pushing the ions, pushing these ions. The cells of the roots in contact with the soil actively take up ions, means it is utilizing energy to take up the ions, which creates a difference in the ion concentration between the root and the soil. Definitely it creates a concentration gradient. Since it is actively absorbed, the concentration of the ions will be more inside than the outside the soil. Thus, there is a steady movement of water into root xylem from the soil, creating a water that is pushed upward, creating a column of water that is pushed upward. It means once the concentration of solute increases within the root hair, water immediately rushes inside the root hair, thereby pushing the ions. And this particular mechanism of transportation of water and minerals is seen in plants during the night time. This is also known as root pressure theory. This is one of the very first strategy that you need to know with respect to absorption of water. Now, what is the second strategy? How exactly does it absorb water and minerals? The water which is lost to the stomata is replaced by the water from the xylem vessels in the leaf. We know xylem is present in each and every part of the plant. So now water is lost to the stomata by means of evaporation. Now water has to be replaced. So this water is replaced from the surrounding cell. And where is it getting the water? From the xylem vessels. Evaporation of water from the cells of the leaf creates a suction which pulls water from the xylem cells of the root. See, this process I can compare it to sucking off the juice by means of a straw. Now, when you are absorbing or taking in, not absorbing, when you're taking in the juice, you are first creating a suction, you're pulling out the air molecules. Once you have pulled out the air molecules, the space is filled by the juice, right? There is a suction pull that is being created. Same way in the plants, what happens is, since water is being lost from the stomata through evaporation, there is a vacuum, because of which to replace that vacuum, the water is being pulled up by a force. This loss of water is transpiration, which helps in the absorption and upward movement of water and minerals dissolved in it from roots to the leaves. So this suction force acts on the root hairs and finally the water is sucked upwards. Transpiration becomes a major driving force in movement of water in the xylem during the day when the stomata are open. You see that transpiration can occur only during the daytime because during the daytime water is being lost from the stomata, and once the water is lost a suction force is pulling the water upwards, and during the night time this cannot happen. That's why we have root pressure theory that was put forth to explain the absorption of water during the night time. This theory is also known as transpiration pull theory, or it's also known as ascent of sap. Sap is nothing but your water which has got minerals in it. So let's understand importance of transpiration. Yes, it brings about essence of sap, means brings about the upward movement of water and minerals, the excess removal of water through stomata. Cooling effect. See, as the water is being lost, now various reactions are happening because of which heat is being generated. That heat is given out through the stomata. Absorption and distribution of salt is brought about by transpiration. Here transpiration is a unidirectional movement. That means water that is being absorbed from the root, then it is being distributed to the plant. Now it is not bidirectional, it is unidirectional, happens in just one side. From the root it is moving up, that's why it is unidirectional. This is with respect to transportation of water.